Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Daily English Talks. I'm Mia, and today I am so excited to take you on a very special journey of English fluency. In this lesson, we will practice long, advanced English sentences that sound natural, useful, and powerful for your everyday communication. The goal of today's session is not just to understand English, but to think in English, to express yourself with confidence, and to use longer sentences in real conversations without hesitation. When we speak English at an advanced level, we often need to connect our thoughts smoothly, express emotions clearly, and describe situations in detail. Short sentences are important, but long sentences give you the ability to sound more natural, more professional, and more fluent. For example, instead of saying, "I was late, there was traffic," you could say, "I was late to the meeting because there was heavy traffic on the road, and even though I left early, the unexpected construction caused a long delay." Do you feel the difference? One sounds basic and the other sounds more advanced and fluent. That is exactly what we will practice together today. Now, I want you to relax, listen carefully, and repeat after me whenever I pause. The key to success in this practice is shadowing. Don't just listen passively. Repeat the sentences out loud. Copy my rhythm, copy my tone, and allow your mouth to get used to forming these longer sentences naturally. Let's begin with our first set of practice sentences. I decided to go for a walk in the park yesterday evening, not only because I wanted some fresh air, but also because I needed time to clear my thoughts after a very long and stressful day at work. Repeat after me. I decided to go for a walk in the park yesterday evening, not only because I wanted some fresh air, but also because I needed time to clear my thoughts after a very long and stressful day at work. Excellent. Here's another one. Even though I had prepared my presentation carefully and I had practiced it several times at home, I still felt a little nervous when I stood in front of my colleagues and saw all of their eyes focused on me. Repeat after me slowly. Even though I had prepared my presentation carefully and I had practiced it several times at home, I still felt a little nervous when I stood in front of my colleagues and saw all of their eyes focused on me. Wonderful practice. Let's try one more. Whenever I travel to a new city, I like to explore not only the famous tourist attractions, but also the hidden local places where real life happens, because that gives me a deeper understanding of the culture and the people. Repeat after me. Whenever I travel to a new city, I like to explore not only the famous tourist attractions, but also the hidden local places where real life happens, because that gives me a deeper understanding of the culture and the people. You can hear how these sentences are connected with words like because, even though, and not only, but also. These connectors are very important because they allow you to build longer, more advanced sentences that sound smooth and natural. Think of them as bridges between your ideas. Instead of stopping after a few words, you continue speaking, adding details, adding reasons, and adding feelings. Now, let's do a short exercise. I'll give you a simple sentence, and I want you to expand it into a longer, advanced version. The simple sentence is, I bought a new phone. Easy, right? But let's make it longer. Try saying something like, I bought a new phone yesterday because my old one stopped working properly, and I wanted a device with a better camera since I enjoy taking photos of my family and my travels. Did you see how one short sentence became a fluent, advanced one? Try saying it out loud with me. I bought a new phone yesterday because my old one stopped working properly, and I wanted a device with a better camera since I enjoy taking photos of my family and my travels. Excellent. Let's do another. The short sentence is, I met my friend. Now, let's make it advanced. I met my friend last Saturday afternoon at a cozy little cafe downtown, where we enjoyed a long conversation about our future plans, and we shared stories from our childhood that made us laugh so much. Repeat after me. I met my friend last Saturday afternoon at a cozy little cafe downtown, where we enjoyed a long conversation about our future plans, and we shared stories from our childhood that made us laugh so much. Practice exercises like this are very powerful because they help you transform your English from short, broken lines into full, expressive ideas. The more details you add, the more natural you sound, and the more confident you will become. It's like painting a picture with words. Instead of only drawing the outline, you are now adding colors, shadows, and depth. Now, let's continue with more advanced sentences for daily life situations. Imagine you are at work. Try this sentence. Although I was extremely busy with several urgent tasks that all seemed to demand my attention at the same time, I managed to stay focused and complete each one by carefully prioritizing what was most important. Repeat after me slowly, or imagine you are talking about your health. Since I started waking up earlier in the morning and exercising for at least 30 minutes every day, I have noticed a big improvement not only in my physical energy, but also in my overall mood and productivity. Try repeating that with me. Let's continue practicing with even more advanced sentences, because the more you repeat and internalize them, the more natural they will become in your own speaking. Remember, the goal is not to memorize every single word, but to train your brain and your mouth to handle longer sentences smoothly, with confidence, and without pausing too much. Let's go deeper now. Try this one. Whenever I receive an email that requires a very thoughtful response, I don't just reply immediately, but instead, I take a few minutes to organize my thoughts, make sure that my words are polite and professional, and ensure that the message clearly communicates exactly what I want to say. Repeat after me slowly. Whenever I receive an email that requires a very thoughtful response, I don't just reply immediately, but instead, I take a few minutes to organize my thoughts. Make sure that my words are polite and professional, and ensure that the message clearly communicates exactly what I want to say. Excellent practice. Let's try another one. Although I knew that learning a new language would take time and patience, I never realized how rewarding it would feel to finally hold a full conversation with a native speaker and to express my thoughts clearly without constantly searching for words. Repeat after me. Now, I want to give you a small challenge. I'll give you a short idea, and I want you to expand it into a longer sentence just as we practiced. The short idea is, I was tired. Very simple, right? Let's make it advanced. I was tired after finishing a long day at the office, where I had been working on multiple projects that required a lot of focus and creativity, and by the time I got home, all I wanted was a warm shower and a quiet evening with a good boo. Key. So try saying it with me now. Here's another challenge. The short sentence is, I went shopping. Now, expand it. I went shopping last weekend at the big supermarket near my neighborhood, not only to buy some basic groceries like bread and milk, but also to look for fresh fruits and vegetables. And while I was there, I found some really good discounts on things I had been planning to buy. Repeat that slowly with me. Advanced English is often about expanding your thoughts and not stopping too early. Many learners stop their sentences too quickly, but fluent speakers add details naturally. Let's do some daily life examples where we add reasons, feelings, and outcomes. For example, since the weather was unusually warm for this time of year, I decided to take my children to the park, where they could run around and play freely, while I enjoyed sitting on a bench with a cup of coffee and watching the beautiful sunset. Repeat this after me. Here's another one. Even though the film was much longer than I expected, I enjoyed every minute of it because the story was so engaging, the characters felt real, and the ending left me thinking about the message long after I had left the cinema. Try it with me. Notice how these sentences are like little stories. They don't just give basic information. They paint a picture. They give reasons. They show emotions. This is exactly how advanced speakers make conversations interesting. And the more you practice building sentences this way, the more you will sound fluent and natural. Let's do a few more exercises together. I'll give you a short sentence and then show you how to expand it. Short sentence. I cooked dinner. Expansion. I cooked dinner for my family last night, preparing a delicious pasta dish with fresh ingredients. And while it took me more than an hour to finish everything, the smile on their faces made it absolute. Eli worth it. Say it with me. Short sentence. I read a book. Expansion. I read a fascinating book last week about personal development, and although it was a little difficult at first, I kept taking notes and reflecting on the ideas, and by the end of it, I felt more motivated to make positive changes in my daily habits. Repeat after me slowly. You see how we can take very ordinary moments and describe them in a much richer way. This not only makes your English sound advanced, but it also trains you to think more deeply in English. Now, let's try some more workplace-related sentences because many of you use English for professional communication. Try this. Even though the meeting lasted longer than we had planned, I was glad that everyone had a chance to share their opinions because by the end of the discussion, we had agreed on a clear strategy for moving forward with the project. Repeat after me slowly. Here's another one. Whenever I have to speak in front of my colleagues, I remind myself to stay calm, take a deep breath, and speak slowly, because if I rush my words, I might lose confidence, but if I control my pace, I sound more professional and clear. Practice that now. For practice, here's a simple sentence you can expand. I finished my work. Advanced version. I finished my work just before the deadline after spending several late nights revising the details, and even though I felt exhausted, I was very satisfied with the final result because I knew I had given it my best effort. Say it with me now. Now, let's connect this with daily conversations you might have with friends. Imagine this. Although I was supposed to stay at home and rest on Sunday, I couldn't resist when my friend invited me to a small gathering because I knew it would be a good chance to relax, laugh, and spend time with people I care about. Repeat after me. Or, since I had not seen my cousin for more than a year, I was very happy when she finally visited me, and we spent hours catching up on our lives, sharing stories, and making plans for the future. Practice that slowly with me now. Do you see the pattern? Advanced English sentences often have multiple parts. A reason, a contrast, an example, or a result. This allows your speech to flow like a river, smooth and connected. Now, let's create some practice sentences together. I'll give you the short version first, and then we'll expand it step by step. Short version. I woke up early. Expansion. I woke up early this morning, even before the sun had risen, because I wanted to go for a run while the streets were still quiet, and I also needed some extra time to prepare for my important meeting later in the day. Repeat after me now. Short version. I missed the bus. Expansion. I missed the bus this morning because I left the house a few minutes later than usual, and even though I tried to run to catch it, the driver had already closed the doors, which meant that I had to wait another 15 minutes for the next one. Practice that with me now. Excellent work. Remember, don't just repeat the words. Feel the flow of the sentence. Notice how it builds one idea after another, just like how fluent speakers naturally express themselves. Let's continue building your confidence with even more long, advanced English sentences. As you practice, keep in mind that the rhythm of your speech is just as important as the words you use. When you speak longer sentences, your intonation should rise and fall naturally, and you should give small pauses in the right places. This makes your English sound smooth and easy to follow, even if the sentence is long. Let's practice together. Try this sentence. Even though the weather forecast predicted heavy rain throughout the weekend, I still decided to take a short trip to the countryside because I had been looking forward to it for months, and I didn't want to cancel all my plans just because of a little bad weather. Repeat after me slowly. Even though the weather forecast predicted heavy rain throughout the weekend, I still decided to take a short trip to the countryside because I had been looking forward to it for months, and I didn't want to cancel all my plans just because of a little bad weather. Here's another one. Since I had never tried cooking that particular dish before, I carefully followed the recipe step by step. And although I made a few small mistakes, the final result turned out surprisingly delicious, which made me feel proud and motivated to experiment more in the kitchen. Repeat after me now. These sentences are long, but they are connected by words like since, although, and because. These connectors are the glue that hold your sentences together. They help you avoid sounding robotic and instead make your English flow naturally. Let's do a quick exercise. I'll give you a very short sentence and then we'll expand it together. The short sentence is, I watch TV. That's simple, but it doesn't sound advanced. Now let's expand. I watched TV last night after finishing my homework, and I chose a documentary about nature, which was not only interesting but also educational because it showed me how climate change is affecting animals around the world. Repeat that with me now. Another one. I visited the museum. Expanded. I visited the museum last weekend with a group of friends, and although it was very crowded, we still enjoyed exploring the art galleries, learning about history, and discussing our favorite pieces, which made the whole experience more memorable. Practice that slowly with me. When you practice like this, you train your brain to think in longer structures. And when your brain gets used to it, you will automatically start speaking more fluently in real life. Let's move into some sentences you might use in professional settings. Try this. Although the deadline for the project was very tight, our team worked together effectively, sharing ideas and supporting each other. And by the end of the week, we managed to deliver a high-quality result that impressed our manager. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Whenever I attend an international conference, I make an effort to network with people from different backgrounds because these conversations not only help me improve my English, but also expand my professional connections, which could lead to future opportunities. Try repeating that with me now. Now, let's do a practice activity. I'll give you a very short phrase and you will expand it into something advanced. The short phrase is, I wrote an email. Expanded. I wrote an email to my professor yesterday to ask for clarification about the assignment, and I made sure to write it politely and clearly because I wanted to show respect and also to make sure my question was understood. Try repeating that now. Here's another short one. I cleaned my room. Expanded. I cleaned my room on Saturday morning, organizing my books and clothes, vacuuming the floor, and even rearranging the furniture a little because I wanted the space to feel more comfortable and refreshing. Repeat after me now. Now let's look at some sentences about emotions, because advanced speakers often express feelings in a detailed way. Try this. Although I was disappointed when my travel plans were canceled, I reminded myself that sometimes unexpected changes can lead to new opportunities, and instead of being upset, I decided to spend the weekend visiting local places that I had never explored before. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. Since I had been waiting for the results of the exam for such a long time, I felt both nervous and excited when I finally opened the email. And when I saw that I had passed with a good grade, I felt an enormous sense of relief and pride. Say it with me now. Notice how these sentences not only describe the situation, but also describe feelings and reactions. That's exactly how you should practice if you want to sound fluent and expressive. Now, let's do a storytelling exercise together. I'll give you a short scenario and I'll expand it into a long sentence for practice. The scenario is, I missed my flight. Expanded version. I missed my flight yesterday because there was unexpected traffic on the way to the airport. And even though I arrived only a few minutes late, the gate had already closed, which left me feeling frustrated, but also taught me an important lesson about leaving earlier next time. Try saying that with me. Another scenario. I met a new colleague. Expansion. I met a new colleague on my first day at the office, and she introduced herself with such warmth and kindness that I immediately felt comfortable. And as we started talking, I realized we shared many common interests, which made me hopeful that we could become good friends at work. Repeat after me now. Let's practice one more storytelling style. The scenario, I got lost. Expansion. I got lost in a new city while trying to find my hotel, but instead of panicking, I decided to enjoy the walk, ask a few friendly locals for directions, and in the end, I discovered a beautiful little cafe that I wouldn't have found otherwise. Repeat slowly after me. Do you see how advanced sentences often contain small twists, emotions, and results? This is what makes them feel natural. Now, let's do a group of sentences about daily activities. I decided to start learning how to play the guitar because I've always loved music, and although the first few lessons were difficult, I can already play some simple songs, which gives me a sense of achievement every time I practice. Even though I usually prefer staying at home during the evenings, last Friday I joined some friends for dinner at a restaurant, and I ended up having such a wonderful time that I promised myself I would accept more invitations in the future. Since I have recently been trying to eat healthier, I decided to prepare my meals at home instead of eating fast food. And after only a few weeks, I noticed a big difference in both my energy levels and my overall mood. Try repeating each of these slowly with me. Feel how the ideas connect one after another. Before we finish this part of the practice, let's do one more exercise together. I'll give you 3 short sentences, and I want you to combine them into one long, advanced sentence. The short sentences are, I was late, my car broke down, I missed the meeting. Advanced version, I was late to the meeting because my car broke down on the way to the office, and although I quickly called a taxi, I still arrived after the discussion had already started, which made me feel embarrassed but also more determined to maintain my car better in the future. Say it with me now. That is how you take simple ideas and build them into fluent, advanced English sentences. Let's keep going with our advanced speaking practice. By now, you should already feel more comfortable repeating long sentences. The important thing is consistency. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Today, I want you to really focus on shadowing with me, repeating each sentence out loud, and paying attention to the rhythm of your speech. Long sentences require balance. You need to control your breathing, your tone, and your pace. Let's practice together. Try this sentence. Although I usually prefer reading books in the quiet comfort of my room, last weekend I decided to visit the local library because I wanted to experience a new environment, meet other people who share the same passion for literature, and discover books that I would never have chosen on my own. Repeat after me slowly. Here's another one. Since I had been saving money for several months, I finally decided to buy myself a new laptop. And although it was quite expensive, I considered it an investment in my future because it will help me work more efficiently and stay productive. Repeat with me now. Notice how each sentence has layers. A reason, a decision, and sometimes a result. This is what makes your English sound more advanced. You don't just state facts, you tell the story behind them. Let's do a small exercise. I'll give you a short sentence, and we'll expand it together. The short sentence is, I drank coffee. Expanded. I drank a hot cup of coffee this morning while sitting on the balcony, and as I sipped it slowly, I enjoyed the calm atmosphere, listened to the birds singing, and prepared my mind for the busy day ahead. Repeat that with me slowly. Another short sentence. I went jogging. Expanded. I went jogging yesterday evening around the park, And even though I felt tired at first, the fresh air and the rhythm of my footsteps gave me energy, and by the time I finished, I felt proud of myself for staying consistent with my health goals. Say it now with me. Do you notice how these expansions make your English sound more fluent? They create a picture in the listener's mind. Instead of simple information, you are sharing an experience. That's how you make your conversations more engaging. Now, let's practice some sentences you can use when talking about your studies or learning goals. Try this. Even though I sometimes feel discouraged when I don't understand everything immediately, I remind myself that learning a language is a process, and every small step I take brings me closer to fluency, which keeps me motivated to continue practicing every single day. Repeat after me. Here's another one. Since I started writing in English every night before going to bed, I have noticed a big improvement in both my grammar and vocabulary. And although it is sometimes challenging to find the right words, the habit has made me much more confident in expressing my thoughts clearly. Practice that with me slowly. Now, let's do a challenge. I'll give you a basic idea and we'll expand it. The basic sentence is, I met a teacher. Expanded. I met a teacher at a language workshop last month, and she gave me excellent advice on how to improve my speaking skills by practicing with longer sentences, which inspired me to start shadowing every day, and I can already feel the difference in my fluency. Repeat that with me. Here's another basic one. I wrote an essay. Expanded. I wrote an essay for my English class about the importance of technology in education, and although it took me several hours to organize my ideas and find the right expressions, I was proud of my final draft because it reflected my true opinions and showed how much my writing has improved. Say it slowly now. That's the power of advanced sentences. They let you show progress, personality, and detail. Now, let's move into some emotional storytelling. Imagine this situation. I felt nervous. Expanded. I felt nervous before giving my first presentation in English because I wasn't sure if I would remember all my points. But once I started speaking and saw the encouraging faces of the audience, I gained confidence, and by the end, I felt proud of what I had accomplished. Repeat that with me. Another one. I felt happy. Expanded. I felt truly happy when my best friend surprised me with a visit because we had not seen each other in years. And as we talked, laughed, and shared old memories, I realized how valuable true friendship is in our lives. Practice that slowly. When you practice expressing feelings in detail, you make your English more human, more authentic, and more advanced. Now, let's practice a few longer sentences about travel and experiences. Try this one. Although I had visited that city several times before, this time I decided to explore it on foot, walking through the narrow streets, tasting the local food, and talking to friendly shop owners. which gave me a completely different perspective on the place. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. Since traveling is one of my greatest passions, I always try to plan at least one trip every year, not only to relax and escape from my routine, but also to learn about new cultures, meet interesting people, and create memories that I will never forget. Repeat that now. Here's a practice challenge for you. The short sentence is, I visited the beach. Expanded. I visited the beach last weekend with some friends, and although the weather was cloudy at first, the sun eventually came out, and we enjoyed walking on the sand, collecting seashells, and listening to the sound of the waves, which made the day unforgettable. Try saying it with me now. One more. I ate dinner. Expanded. I ate dinner at a small family-owned restaurant last night, and even though the menu was simple, the food tasted delicious. The atmosphere was warm and cozy, and the kind service made the whole experience feel special. Repeat that slowly with me. Notice how much detail you can add when you practice building longer sentences. This is what advanced speaking looks like. Not rushing, not cutting ideas short, but expressing yourself fully and naturally. Now let's do some sentences about goals and future plans. Try this one. Although I know achieving fluency will take time, I am determined to keep practicing every day because I believe that consistency, patience, and effort will eventually make me a confident English speaker. Repeat after me. Here's another. Since I want to study abroad in the future, I am working hard on improving my English now. And even though there are moments when I feel tired, I remind myself that the opportunities waiting for me will make all the hard work worth it. Say it with me slowly. And one more. Whenever I think about my future career, I imagine myself using English confidently in international meetings, giving presentations, and building connections with people from all over the world, which motivates me to keep learning with enthusiasm. Repeat that with me now. These future-focused sentences are powerful because they combine your goals with strong motivation. Practicing them out loud makes your English sound determined and confident. Before we close this section, let's do a final storytelling expansion. The short sentence is, I missed a call. Expanded. I missed an important phone call yesterday because I had left my phone in the other room while I was cooking, and when I finally checked it, I saw that it was from my boss, which made me feel nervous, but luckily, when I called back, everything was fine. Say it with me now. One last one. I learned something new. Expanded. I learned something new during a conversation with a colleague who explained a concept I had never understood before, and I was so grateful because not only did I improve my knowledge, but I also felt more confident about asking questions in the future. Repeat after me slowly. Let's continue practicing with even more advanced English sentences. By now, you should notice that your ability to repeat longer lines is improving. Your mouth and your mind are getting used to holding more ideas together in one smooth flow. This is what fluency feels like. Not just single words or short phrases, but complete connected thoughts. Stay with me, repeat carefully, and let your confidence grow. Try the is sentence. Although I was extremely tired after a long day at work, I still decided to meet my friend for dinner because I knew that spending time together would lift my mood, and I didn't want to miss the chance to catch up on her exciting news. Repeat slowly after me now. Here's another one. Since I had been practicing my English regularly, I was able to participate in the discussion with confidence, and although I made a few small mistakes, I realized that everyone understood me clearly, which made me feel proud and encouraged to keep going. Repeat after me slowly. These are examples of how you can combine actions, feelings, and results into one sentence. It makes your speaking richer and more advanced. Now, let's try expanding some short sentences together. The first short sentence is, I bought shoes. Expanded. I bought a new pair of shoes last week at the shopping mall, and even though they were more expensive than I had planned to spend, they are so comfortable and stylish that I know I will wear them for a long time. Say it with me slowly. Another one. I took the bus. Expanded. I took the bus to the city center yesterday, and while the ride was a little crowded, I enjoyed looking out of the window, listening to music, and noticing the small details of daily life around me. Repeat that now with me. Let's also work on sentences that describe habits. Try this. Even though I sometimes feel too tired after work, I push myself to read at least a few pages of an English book every night because I know that this small daily habit will eventually make a big difference in my fluency. Practice that slowly with me now. Another one. Since I have started practicing speaking English out loud every morning, I have noticed that I feel more confident during conversations, and I no longer hesitate as much when I need to explain my ideas. Repeat after me now. Habits are powerful. Talking about them in advanced sentences will help you express consistency and motivation. Now let's go into some emotions again. Try this. Although I was nervous about making a mistake during the phone call, I reminded myself to stay calm, speak slowly, and focus on communicating clearly. And in the end, the conversation went much better than I expected. Repeat with me slowly. Another one. Since I hadn't seen my parents for several months, I felt incredibly happy when I finally visited them, and the warm hugs, long conversations, and delicious home-cooked meals reminded me how important family is. Practice that line with me now. Great. Let's also practice sentences about daily life challenges. Try this. Even though my internet connection suddenly stopped working while I was in the middle of an online meeting, I quickly switched to using my phone's data, and thankfully I was able to continue the discussion without missing anything important. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I had forgotten to set my alarm clock, I woke up later than usual, and I had to rush through my morning routine, skipping breakfast and running to catch the bus, which taught me the importance of preparing the night before. Practice that with me now. These kinds of sentences are very natural in daily conversation because everyone experiences these little problems, and sharing them makes you sound authentic. Now let's do a storytelling exercise. The short sentence is, I met a stranger. Expanded. I met a stranger on the train who noticed the book I was reading, and we started a conversation about literature, which turned out to be so interesting that by the time we reached our stop, it felt like we had known each other for years. Repeat after me now. Another one. I forgot my keys. Expanded. I forgot my keys at home this morning, and when I realized it, I was already halfway to the office, so I had to go back, which made me late for work, but at least it minded me to double-check before leaving the house next time. Say that with me slowly. These storytelling sentences are wonderful for practice because they combine multiple events and reactions into one smooth line. Now let's do a few advanced sentences about food and eating out. Try this. Although the restaurant was very busy and we had to wait for almost 30 minutes to get a table, the delicious food, friendly service, and lively atmosphere made the experience worth the wait. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I have recently become more interested in healthy eating, I have been experimenting with cooking new recipes at home, and even though some of them don't always turn out perfect, I enjoy the process of learning and improving. Practice that with me. Here's a practice challenge for you. The short sentence is, I ate breakfast. Expanded. I ate a simple but healthy breakfast this morning, including oatmeal, fresh fruit, and a cup of green tea. And although it only took a few minutes to prepare, it gave me enough energy to stay focused throughout the day. Say that slowly with me. Another short sentence. I ordered pizza. Expanded. I ordered pizza last Friday night after a long week, and although I usually try to cook at home, I wanted to treat myself, and it felt great to relax, enjoy the food, and watch a movie with my family. Repeat with me now. You see how ordinary situations can be described in a richer way. This makes your English not only advanced, but also enjoyable to listen to. Now let's do some sentences about travel and discovery. Try this. Even though I was nervous about traveling alone to a foreign country, I discovered that it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life because it pushed me out of my comfort zone, helped me meet new people, and gave me confidence in my independence. Repeat with me slowly. Another one. Since the train was delayed by more than an hour, I decided to use the time to read, listen to music, and even write in my journal, which made the wait feel more meaningful instead of frustrating. Say that now with me. For practice, here's a short idea. I visited a park. Expanded. I visited a park on Sunday afternoon, and while walking along the path surrounded by trees, I felt peaceful and relaxed, especially when I saw families having picnics, children playing, and couples enjoying the sunshine. Repeat that slowly with me now. One more. I saw a movie. Expanded. I saw a movie at the cinema last weekend, and although the story was a little predictable, the acting was fantastic, the music was beautiful, and the special effects made the entire experience very entertaining. Practice that with me now. Now let's do some future-focused sentences. Try this. Although I know the road to fluency is long, I am determined to stay consistent with my daily practice because I believe that one day I will be able to express all my thoughts in English without hesitation. Repeat with me now. Another one. Since I plan to take an English proficiency test next year, I am focusing on improving my speaking and listening skills, and I am confident that if I continue practicing regularly, I will achieve the score that I need. Say that slowly with me. And one last one. Whenever I imagine myself in the future, I see myself speaking English confidently with people from different cultures, traveling without fear of communication barriers, and using my skills to create more opportunities in life. Repeat with me now. Before we close this practice, let's do 2 final storytelling expansions. The short sentence is, I helped someone. Expanded. I helped an elderly neighbor carry her groceries up the stairs, and although it was just a small gesture, she was so grateful. And it reminded me how important kindness is in our daily lives. Say it slowly with me now. The last one. I learned a lesson. Expanded. I learned a valuable lesson when I failed my driving test the first time, because even though I was disappointed, I realized that mistakes are opportunities to improve, and when I took the test again, I passed with confidence. Repeat after me slowly. Let's continue our advanced speaking practice together. Remember, the more you repeat these sentences out loud, the more natural they will sound when you use them in real life. Think of this practice like training your muscles at the gym. Every time you shadow my sentences, you are training your mouth, your brain, and your confidence. Over time, you will be able to build long, detailed sentences on your own without even thinking. Let's begin. Try this sentence. Although I had planned to spend my Sunday relaxing at home, I received an unexpected invitation from a friend to join a small hiking trip, and even though I was hesitant at first, I ended up going, and it turned out to be one of the most refreshing and enjoyable experiences of the week. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I know how important it is to make a good first impression, I always try to greet people warmly, listen carefully to what they say, and respond with genuine interest, because I believe that building strong relationships starts with small acts of kindness. Say it now with me. Notice how these sentences connect actions, reasons, and results. That is the rhythm of advanced English. Let's practice expanding some short sentences again. The short sentence is, I listened to music. Expanded. I listened to music while walking home from work, and the rhythm of the songs made me feel more relaxed after a stressful day, giving me the energy I needed to cook dinner and finish some small tasks. A home. Repeat with me slowly now. Another short sentence. I cleaned the kitchen. Expanded. I cleaned the kitchen after preparing a large meal, washing all the dishes, wiping down the counters, and organizing the shelves, and even though it took some time, I felt satisfied when everything was sparkling clean. Say that slowly with me. Now let's do some sentences about studying and progress. Try this. Even though I sometimes feel frustrated when I forget new vocabulary, I remind myself that learning is about repetition, and the more often I review, the stronger the words stay in my memory, which keeps me motivated. Practice that with me slowly. Another one. Since I have started listening to English podcasts every morning, I feel more comfortable with natural conversations, and although I don't understand every single word, I notice that my comprehension has improved a lot. Repeat that with me now. Let's move into sentences about social situations. Try this. Although I was nervous about attending the party because I didn't know many people, I decided to go anyway, and I ended up meeting some very friendly guests who made me feel comfortable and welcome. Say it slowly with me now. Another one. Since I had been practicing how to introduce myself in English, when I finally met some new classmates, I was able to speak confidently, and that small moment gave me courage to join more conversations in the future. Practice that with me now. Now let's work on storytelling practice. The short sentence is, I lost my wallet. Expanded. I lost my wallet at the supermarket yesterday, and for a moment I felt panicked, but then I retraced my steps carefully, asked an employee for help, and fortunately, someone had found it and returned it to customer service. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. I missed the train. Expanded. I missed the train this morning because I stopped to help someone carry their bags. And even though I had to wait for the next train, I didn't feel upset because I was happy I had done something kind. Say to hat with me now. These kinds of sentences are not only good practice, but also show how real-life stories can be expressed in long, natural English. Let's continue with some professional examples. Try this. Even though the presentation required a lot of preparation, I felt confident because I had practiced many times, and when I finally stood in front of the audience, I spoke clearly, answered all the questions, and received positive feedback. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since teamwork is such an important part of success, I always try to contribute my ideas, listen to others carefully, and support my colleagues, because I believe that a strong team can achieve more than individuals working alone. Practice that slowly now. Now let's expand some very short sentences. The short sentence is, I finished reading. Expanded. I finished reading a novel last night that I had been working on for weeks, and even though the story had some slow parts, the ending was so powerful that I couldn't stop thinking about it afterward. Say it now with me. Another short one. I made a mistake. Expanded. I made a mistake while filling out a form, and although I felt embarrassed at first, I corrected it quickly, and I reminded myself that mistakes are simply part of the learning process. Repeat after me now. Good. Now let's focus on travel and discovery again. Try this. Although the journey to the mountain was long and tiring, the breathtaking view at the top made me forget all the difficulties, and I felt grateful that I didn't give up halfway. Say it slowly with me now. Another one. Since I love discovering local culture when I travel, I always make an effort to talk to residents, try traditional food, and learn a few basic phrases in the local language, which makes the experience more meaningful. Practice that with me now. Here's a challenge for you. The shore. Its sentence is, I stayed in a hotel. Expanded. I stayed in a small hotel near the city center, and although the room was simple, the staff was so friendly and helpful that the whole stay felt comfortable and enjoyable. Say it slowly with me. Another short one. I took a photo. Expanded. I took a photo of the sunset yesterday while walking home, and the sky was painted with such beautiful shades of orange and pink that I couldn't resist capturing the moment. Repeat with me now. Now let's try some emotional sentences again. Try this. Even though I felt disappointed when my plan didn't work out, I reminded myself that failure is part of growth, and instead of giving up, I made adjustments and tried again with better results. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I received kind feedback from my teacher, I felt more confident about my progress, and it encouraged me to keep practicing with even more energy. Say it now with me. Before we finish this section, let's practice 2 final storytelling expansions. The short sentence is, I helped a friend. Expanded. I helped a friend prepare for an interview by practicing questions with her. And when she later told me that she got the job, I felt proud that I could support her success. Repeat slowly with me now. The last one. I remembered something. Expanded. I remembered a piece of advice my mentor once gave me, which was to stay calm under pressure, and when I applied it during a stressful moment at work, it helped me handle the situation successfully. Say it now with me. Let's continue practicing together. By now, you should already notice that repeating long sentences feels smoother. Your tongue and your brain are adjusting to carrying ideas from the beginning to the end without stopping too early. This is exactly the skill we want to build. Long, connected thoughts that flow naturally will make you sound advanced and fluent. Take a deep breath, relax, and let's practice some more. Here's a sentence. Although I had planned to spend the evening watching a movie, I decided instead to call my parents because I hadn't spoken to them for a while, and the long conversation we had reminded me how important it is to stay connected with family. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I didn't want to be late for my appointment, I left the house earlier than usual, and even though the traffic was heavier than I expected, I still managed to arrive on time, which gave me a sense of relief. Say it now with me. Notice how these sentences build a story. There is a reason, an action, and a result. That is what makes them advanced and natural. Now let's expand a few short sentences. The short sentence is, I bought a book. Expanded. I bought a book from a small local bookstore yesterday, and even though I could have ordered it online, I enjoyed the experience of browsing through the shelves, discovering unexpected titles, and supporting a small business. Repeat that with me slowly. Another short sentence. I cooked lunch. Expanded. I cooked lunch for my family on Sunday afternoon, preparing a simple but delicious meal, and although it took me some time to chop the vegetables and wash the dishes afterward, I felt satisfied when everyone enjoyed it. Say it now with me. Good. Now let's practice sentences that describe challenges. Try this. Although I was very nervous about the job interview, I reminded myself to stay calm, answer honestly, and show my enthusiasm, and in the end, I felt that I had done my best. Repeat with me slowly. Another one. Since the deadline for the project was approaching quickly, I organized my tasks carefully, worked late into the evening, and asked for help when necessary, which allowed me to finish everything on time. Say it now with me. Now let's practice some emotional expressions. Try this. Even though I was disappointed when my friend canceled our plans at the last minute, I understood that she had an emergency, and I used the free time to relax and focus on myself. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. Since I received good news about my application, I felt excited and motivated, and I immediately started making plans for the next step in my journey. Say it with me now. Let's do some storytelling. The short sentence is, I found money. Expanded. I found some money on the street yesterday, And even though it wasn't much, I handed it to the security guard nearby because I knew it was the right thing to do, and it left me feeling honest and proud. Repeat that now with me. Another short sentence. I lost my phone. Expanded. I lost my phone while shopping in the mall, and I felt very anxious. But after retracing my steps carefully and asking for help, I found it at the customer service desk, which gave me a huge sense of relief. Say it slowly now with me. These real-life stories are wonderful for building fluency because they feel natural in conversation. Now let's try some sentences about hobbies and free time. Try this. Although I didn't have much free time last week, I made sure to spend at least an hour playing the guitar because music helps me relax and keeps me creative. Repeat after me. Another one. Since I enjoy photography, I often carry my camera when I go for walks, and even though I don't always capture perfect shots, I enjoy noticing details that I would otherwise miss. Say it with me now. Here's a practice challenge for you. The short sentence is, I painted a picture. Expanded. I painted a picture over the weekend, and although it wasn't professional, I enjoyed expressing myself through colors, and it gave me a deep sense of peace and creativity. Repeat that with me slowly. Another short one. I played a game. Expanded. I played a board game with my friends last night, and even though we argued a little about the rules, the laughter and friendly competition made it one of the most fun evenings we've had in a long time. Say it now with me. Now, let's focus on professional growth again. Try this. Although I was afraid of making mistakes in front of my colleagues, I still volunteered to give a short presentation, and after receiving positive feedback, I felt much more confident in my abilities. Repeat that slowly with me. Another one. Since learning new skills is important for my career, I enrolled in an online course, and even though it requires a lot of extra effort, I believe it will give me valuable knowledge in the future. Say it with me now. Now let's expand some basic sentences. The short sentence is, I wrote notes. Expanded. I wrote detailed notes during the lecture, highlighting important ideas, and even though it took effort to stay focused, I know these notes will help me prepare for my exams. Repeat after me now. Another one. I joined a meeting. Expanded. I joined a meeting with my team yesterday, and although we had some disagreements at first, we managed to find common ground and agree on a clear plan. Say it with me slowly. Great. Now let's practice some advanced emotional storytelling. Try this. Even though I was frustrated when I missed the bus, I decided not to let it ruin my day, and instead, I used the extra time to call a friend I hadn't spoken to in a while. Repeat that slowly with me. Another one. Since I felt nervous before the exam, I took a few deep breaths, reminded myself of how much I had studied, and walked into the room with a calm and focused attitude. Say it now with me. Before we close this practice, let's do 2 more storytelling expansions. The short sentence is, I met someone new. Expanded. I met someone new at a community event, and as we talked, I discovered that we shared many similar interests, which made the conversation enjoyable and the connection feel genuine. Repeat slowly with me the last one. I remembered a dream. Expanded. I remembered a dream I had the night before, and it was so vivid that I told it to my friend, who laughed and helped me see how dreams often reflect our daily worries and hopes. Say it now with me. Let's continue with more advanced English practice together. By now, you should notice that repeating long sentences feels easier than when we started. That's because your brain is adapting. The more you shadow these sentences, the more natural it will become for you to build your own long, connected thoughts. Fluency is like a muscle. It grows stronger with daily practice. So, let's keep strengthening it with more examples. Here's the first sentence. Although I had many things to do at home, I decided to go out for a walk in the evening because I wanted to clear my mind, enjoy the fresh air, and give myself a short break from responsibilities. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I wanted to make a good impression on my new colleagues, I arrived at the office earlier than usual, greeted everyone warmly, and offered to help with some tasks, which made me feel welcomed and respected. Say it now with me. Notice how these sentences explain not just what happened, but also why it happened and what the result was. That's what makes them advanced. Let's expand a few short sentences together. The short sentence is, I read the news. Expanded. I read the news online this morning while drinking coffee, and although some of the stories were concerning, I appreciated being updated because it helps me stay informed about what's happening in the world. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short sentence. I washed clothes. Expanded. I washed my clothes on Saturday morning, separating the colors, folding everything neatly after it dried, and even ironing a few shirts, which gave me a sense of order and accomplishment. Say it now with me. Now let's practice describing goals. Try this. Although I know learning a new skill takes time, I stay motivated by setting small daily goals, celebrating small victories, and reminding myself of the bigger picture. Repeat with me slowly. Another one. Since I want to improve my confidence in speaking, I make an effort to practice out loud every day. And even though it feels awkward sometimes, I know that this effort is slowly building my fluency. Say it with me now. Good. Let's also practice storytelling again. The short sentence is, I forgot my homework. Expanded. I forgot my homework at home, and when the teacher asked for it, I felt embarrassed, but I explained honestly, and she gave me another chance to bring it the next day, which taught me to double-check my bag before leaving the house. Repeat slowly with me. Another short one. I met a singer. Expanded. I met a local singer at a community event, and even though our conversation was short, I felt inspired by her passion for music, and it motivated me to keep working on my own creative hobbies. Say it now with me. Now let's move to sentences about daily struggles. Try this. Although I was very tired when I returned home, I still cooked dinner, cleaned the kitchen, and prepared my clothes for the next day, because I didn't want to leave everything unfinished. Repeat with me slowly. Another one. Since my laptop suddenly stopped working during the online class, I had to quickly switch to my phone, and even though it was uncomfortable, I managed to keep up with the lesson. Say it now with me. Daily struggles like these are realistic, and practicing them helps you build natural fluency. Let's do more practice expansions. The short sentence is, I visited a friend. Expanded. I visited a friend at her apartment yesterday, and we spent hours drinking tea, sharing stories, and laughing about old memories, which reminded me how important good friendships are. Repeat after me now. Another short one. I went shopping. Expanded. I went shopping at the market early in the morning, and although it was crowded, I enjoyed looking at the colorful stalls, talking to the sellers, and choosing fresh fruits and vegetables for the week. Say it slowly with me. Now let's practice emotions. Try this. Even though I was nervous before speaking in front of the group, I reminded myself that everyone makes mistakes, and once I started, I realized they were listening with interest, which gave me confidence to continue. Repeat with me slowly. Another one. Since I received encouragement from my classmates, I felt more motivated to participate in discussions, and over time I realized that I was speaking more fluently than I had thought possible. Say it now with me. Good. Now let's focus on travel again. Try this. Although the journey to the airport was stressful because of traffic, I still made it in time for my flight, and once I was seated on the plane, I felt relaxed and ready for the adventure ahead. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. Since I wanted to experience the culture of the city, I avoided touristy restaurants and chose to eat at a small family-owned place, which gave me a more authentic and memorable experience. Say it with me now. Here's a practice challenge. The short sentence is, I saw a park. Expanded. I saw a beautiful park while walking through the city, and I decided to sit on a bench for a while, enjoying the fresh air, the sound of children playing, and the sight of people relaxing around me. Repeat slowly with me. Another short one. I visited a museum. Expanded. I visited a museum last weekend, and even though I had seen some of the exhibits before, I found new details that I had missed, which made the experience interesting and educational. Say it now with me. Now let's practice advanced professional sentences. I this. Although the meeting lasted longer than expected, I stayed engaged, took notes carefully, and asked questions, which helped me understand the project better. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. Since I know presentations are important for career growth, I prepare them thoroughly, rehearse them in front of the mirror, and ask for feedback because I want to improve each time. Say it with me now. Before we finish this section, let's practice 2 more storytelling expansions. The short sentence is, I got a gift. Expanded. I got a gift from a friend on my birthday, and even though it wasn't expensive, it was thoughtful and meaningful because it showed that she knew exactly what would make me happy. Repeat slowly with me. The last one. I gave advice. Expanded. I gave advice to a younger student who was struggling with English, and I encouraged him to practice little by little every day, because I know from experience that consistent effort always brings results. Say it now with me. Let's continue with more advanced practice together. At this stage, you might notice that you are able to repeat long sentences more smoothly than before. That's because you've been training your speaking muscles step by step. Each time you shadow, you are building fluency and rhythm. Keep reminding yourself, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. The more you practice, the easier it will become to form advanced sentences naturally. Here's the first one. Although I had many assignments to complete, I decided to take a short break and go outside for a walk because I knew that a little fresh air and movement would help me return with a clearer mind and better focus. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I had promised my friend that I would help her move to her new apartment, I woke up early on Saturday morning, carried boxes up the stairs, and although I was tired, I felt happy that I could support her during such an important day. Say it now with me. Notice how these sentences connect reasons, actions, and results. This structure makes your English more advanced and natural. Now let's expand a short sentence. The short one is, I visited my uncle. Expanded. I visited my uncle last weekend and we sat together in his garden, drinking tea, sharing stories about our family and laughing about old memories, which made me feel deeply connected to him. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I baked a cake. Expanded. I baked a cake for my cousin's birthday, and although it wasn't perfect in appearance, it tasted delicious, and seeing the smile on her face when she tried it made me feel proud. Say it with me now. Now let's do a few emotional examples. Try this. Although I felt nervous when I had to speak in front of my classmates, I reminded myself that they were just like me, learning and practicing, and this thought helped me calm down and deliver my message. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I received encouraging feedback from my teacher, I felt motivated to keep practicing every day, and even when I made mistakes, I knew I was moving in the right direction. Say it with me now. Good. Now let's try some storytelling sentences. The short sentence is, I missed my bus. Expanded. I missed my bus yesterday morning, and even though I felt frustrated at first, I decided to use the extra time to listen to an English podcast, which turned the situation into a learning opportunity. Repeat slowly with me. Another short one. I met an old friend. Expanded. I met an old friend unexpectedly while walking in the park, and we immediately started catching up, sharing updates about our lives, and laughing about the funny things we used to do together. Say it with me now. These storytelling sentences help you practice real-life communication. Now let's focus on professional English. Try this. Although I had never spoken to such a large audience before, I prepared carefully, practiced my presentation several times, and when the moment came, I delivered it with confidence. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I wanted to contribute more to the team, I shared my ideas during the meeting, and even though some of them were not accepted, I felt proud that I spoke up and participated. Say it now with me. Here's a practice challenge. The short sentence is, I wrote an email. Expanded. I wrote an email to my manager to update her about the progress of the project, making sure to organize my thoughts clearly, use polite expressions, and end with a positive note. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I joined a call. Expanded. I joined an international call with colleagues from different countries, and although the accents were different, I listened carefully, took notes, and asked questions, which helped me understand everything. Say it now with me. Now, let's practice some advanced emotional storytelling. Try this. Although I was disappointed when my travel plans were canceled, I decided not to waste the weekend, and instead I explored local places, which turned out to be fun and relaxing. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I finally achieved one of my goals, I felt a deep sense of pride and gratitude, and it gave me more energy to set new challenges for the future. Say it with me now. Now let's practice sentences about hobbies and daily life. Try this. Although I usually spend weekends studying, last Saturday I joined my friends for a cycling trip, and the fresh air, exercise, and laughter made me feel refreshed. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I enjoy cooking, I often try new recipes, and even though some of them don't turn out as planned, I always learn something new in the process. Say it with me now. Here's a short sentence to expand. I played guitar. Expanded. I played guitar In the evening, after finishing my work and as I strummed the chords, I felt my stress slowly disappear, leaving me calm and happy. Repeat with me slowly now. Another one. I watched a show. Expanded. I watched a show on TV with my family last night, and even though the story was simple, we laughed a lot together, which made the evening special. Say it with me now. Now let's work on travel situations. Try this. Although my flight was delayed for several hours, I stayed patient, read a book, and used the time to review my notes, which made the wait feel productive. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I wanted to practice English during my trip, I started conversations with local people, asked questions politely, and even though I made some mistakes, I felt proud of my progress. Say it with me now. Here's another practice expansion. The short sentence is, I took photos. Expanded. I took photos of the beautiful city streets, capturing not only the buildings, but also the small details like the flowers on balconies and the smiling faces of people walking by. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I visited a temple. Expanded. I visited a temple while traveling, and even though it was crowded, the peaceful atmosphere and the sense of history made the visit meaningful. Say it with me now. Finally, let's close this part with two more storytelling sentences. The short one is, I helped my neighbor. Expanded. I helped my neighbor carry heavy bags upstairs, and although it was a small act, she thanked me warmly, which reminded me how kindness builds stronger connections. Repeat slowly with me now. The last one. I achieved a goal. Expanded. I achieved a goal I had been working on for months, and even though it required patience and discipline, the feeling of success was worth every effort. Say it now with me. Let's continue practicing together. At this point, your brain and mouth are becoming more comfortable with long, connected sentences. The key now is to keep the rhythm going, because fluency is built step by step, sentence by sentence, and practice after practice. Let's dive into more examples so you can strengthen your ability to think and speak in English naturally. Here's the first sentence. Although I was very tired after working all day, I still decided to go for a short walk in the park because I knew that moving my body and breathing fresh air would help me feel relaxed and ready for a good night's sleep. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I didn't want to miss the chance to meet my old classmate, I rearranged my schedule, and even though it was a little inconvenient, the joy of reconnecting and sharing stories made the effort worth it. Say it now with me. Notice how these sentences carry more than one idea. They mix reasons, results, and feelings. That's exactly what you should aim for when building advanced sentences. Now let's expand some short sentences. The short one is, I drank tea. Expanded. I drank a warm cup of tea on Sunday afternoon, and as I held the mug in my hands, I felt the calmness spreading through me while I listened to soft music in the background. Repeat that slowly with me now. Another short one. I cleaned the room. Expanded. I cleaned my room yesterday morning, dusting the shelves, vacuuming the floor, and arranging my books neatly. And when I finished, I felt lighter and more productive in the fresh space. Say it with me now. Now let's practice sentences about emotions and challenges. Try this. Although I was worried about forgetting some points during my presentation, I stayed focused, spoke clearly, and received supportive feedback, which boosted my confidence. Repeat slowly after me. Another one. Since I felt nervous before meeting new people, I reminded myself to smile, listen carefully, and ask simple questions, which helped me start conversations more naturally. Say it with me. Now. Let's move into storytelling. The short sentence is, I missed a call. Expanded. I missed an important phone call because I was busy cooking dinner, and when I finally checked my phone, I quickly called back, explained the situation politely, and everything was resolved. Repeat after me slowly. Another short one. I met a tourist. Expanded. I met a tourist on the street who asked me for directions, and although my English wasn't perfect, I was able to help, and the smile on their face made me feel confident about my communication skills. Say it now with me. These little real-life stories are powerful practice. They help you connect events, actions, and feelings into one smooth sentence. Now let's work on professional English. Try this. Although I had a heavy workload, I stayed organized, managed my time carefully, and asked for help when needed, which allowed me to finish everything on schedule. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I wanted to improve my communication skills, I joined an online discussion group, and even though I was shy at first, the regular practice helped me speak more fluently and confidently. Say it with me now. Here's a challenge expansion. The short one is, I prepared notes. Expanded. I prepared detailed notes before the meeting, organizing the key points and questions I wanted to ask, which made me feel confident and prepared during the discussion. Repeat that slowly with me now. Another short one. I joined training. Expanded. I joined an online training course last week, and even though it was challenging at first, I learned many new techniques that I can now apply in my daily work. Say it with me now. Now let's practice advanced emotional sentences. Try this. Although I was disappointed when my project wasn't chosen, I reminded myself that every experience is a chance to learn, and I used the feedback to improve my work. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. Since I had worked very hard for the exam, I felt relieved and proud when I saw my good results. and the success encouraged me to set bigger goals for the future. Say it with me now. Let's continue with sentences about hobbies. Try this. Although I had many tasks waiting for me, I still took a break to play the piano because music helps me release stress and feel more balanced. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I enjoy drawing, I often spend time sketching small pictures, and even though they are not perfect, the practice helps me express creativity and relax. Say it with me now. Now let's expand short sentences. The short one is, I watched TV. Expanded. I watched TV with my family last night, and even though the program was simple, we laughed together, shared comments, and enjoyed the comfortable evening. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I cooked dinner. Expanded. I cooked dinner for my parents yesterday evening, and although it took me more than an hour, seeing their happiness while eating made me feel proud. Say it with me now. Now let's work on travel and discovery sentences. Try this. Although the trip was tiring, the breathtaking mountain view made it unforgettable, and I felt grateful for the adventure. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I wanted to learn about the culture, I visited a local market, talked to shopkeepers, and tried traditional dishes, which gave me a real sense of the community. Say it with me now. Here's a short one to expand. I visited the zoo. Expanded. I visited the zoo with my younger brother, and although the weather was hot, we enjoyed watching the animals, taking photos, and learning about different species. Repeat after me now. Another short one. I walked in the city. Expanded. I walked in the city center on Sunday afternoon, and I enjoyed the lively atmosphere, the street performers, and the smell of delicious food from the cafes. Say it with me now. Finally, let's close this section with 2 storytelling expansions. The short one is, I helped my classmate. Expanded. I helped my classmate prepare for her exam by explaining some difficult topics, and she thanked me sincerely, which made me feel proud of sharing my knowledge. Repeat slowly with me now. The last one. I learned from a mistake. Expanded. I learned from a mistake I made at work, because even though it was frustrating at first, correcting it taught me to pay more attention in the future and made me stronger. Say it with me now. Let's continue our journey of advanced English practice. By now, you should notice how natural it feels to repeat long, connected sentences. Your brain is learning to carry one idea into the next without breaking too soon. This is a key part of sounding fluent. The more you practice, the more you will be able to do this naturally in real conversations. Let's keep building that skill together. Here's a sentence. Although I had many tasks waiting for me at home, I decided to join my colleagues for coffee after work because I knew that building relationships with them was just as important as finishing chores. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I had been feeling stressed for several days, I took a short trip to the countryside, and even though it was only for one day, the peaceful scenery and fresh air helped me relax and recharge. Say it now with me. Do you hear how these sentences combine feelings, actions, and reasons? That is exactly how advanced English works. It flows like a story. Now let's expand short sentences. The short one is, I read a story. Expanded. I read a story before going to bed last night, and although it was simple, the characters felt so real that I kept thinking about them even after I turned off the light. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I bought clothes. Expanded. I bought clothes at the shopping center yesterday, and although I only planned to buy one shirt, I found a few more items on sale, which made me feel excited about refreshing my wardrobe. Say it with me now. Now let's try some sentences. Says about challenges. Try this. Although I felt nervous about speaking English with a stranger, I pushed myself to try, and the conversation turned out to be friendly and enjoyable, which gave me more courage. Repeat slowly after me. Another one. Since I had studied carefully for the exam, I walked into the room with confidence, and even though some questions were difficult, I stayed calm and did my best. Say it with me now. Now let's practice some storytelling. The short sentence is, I broke my glasses. Expanded. I broke my glasses by accident when they slipped off the table, and even though I was frustrated at first, I quickly arranged for a repair, which taught me to be more careful next time. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. I missed breakfast. Expanded. I missed breakfast because I was rushing to catch the bus. But later in the morning, I realized how hungry I was, and I promised myself to prepare something quick the night before in the future. Say it with me now. These storytelling expansions are excellent for training your fluency. Now let's focus on professional examples. Try this. Although the presentation was challenging, I organized my points clearly, spoke at a steady pace, and answered questions confidently, which left a good impression on my manager. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. Since teamwork is essential for success, I always try to share my ideas, listen carefully to others, and find solutions together, which makes the group stronger. Say it with me now. Here's a challenge. The short one is, I joined a workshop. Expanded. I joined a workshop about communication skills last week, and although it was intense, I learned many new strategies that I am already applying in my conversations. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I sent a report. Expanded. I sent a detailed report to my manager, making sure all the data was accurate, and I felt satisfied when she responded with appreciation for my careful work. Say it with me now. Now, let's practice emotional sentences. Try this. Although I was disappointed when I lost the competition, I reminded myself that participating gave me experience, and I felt motivated to try again with more preparation. Repeat slowly with me. Another one. Since I received a kind message from a friend, I felt happy all day, and it reminded me how small gestures of kindness can make a big difference in our lives. Say it with me now. Let's move into hobbies and free time. Try this. Although I don't always have much free time, I try to spend at least half an hour reading each day because it keeps my mind sharp and my imagination active. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I enjoy cooking, I experiment with different recipes on weekends, and even if the results are not always perfect, I always learn something new in the process. Say it with me now. Now let's expand some short sentences. The short one is, I watered plants. Expanded. I watered my plants early in the morning, and while doing it, I noticed how much they had grown, which gave me a small but real sense of joy. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I watched a film. Expanded. I watched a film with my family last night, and although the plot was predictable, the music and acting made it very enjoyable. Say it with me now. Now let's move into travel again. Try this. Although my journey was long and tiring, meeting new people along the way made it more interesting, and I came back with unforgettable memories. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I wanted to experience the culture, I joined a local walking tour, listened to stories about the city, and discovered hidden places that I would not have found on my own. Say it with me now. Here's another short expansion. The short one is, I stayed in a hostel. Expanded. I stayed in a hostel during my trip, and although the room was small, I met travelers from different countries, which made the experience exciting and unique. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I took a bus. Expanded. I took a bus to a nearby town, and while looking out of the window, I enjoyed the peaceful countryside views that reminded me to slow down and appreciate the moment. Say it with me now. Finally, let's finish this section with 2 storytelling expansions. The short one is, I helped a stranger. Expanded. I helped a stranger who was lost by giving directions, and although it was a short interaction, the grateful smile reminded me that small acts of kindness matter. Repeat slowly with me now. The last one. I achieved something new. Expanded. I achieved something new when I learned how to cook a difficult recipe, and even though it took me several tries, the success gave me confidence to try even more challenging dishes. Say it with me now. Let's continue with our advanced English speaking practice. You've already practiced so many long sentences with me, and by now you should feel much more comfortable with connecting ideas, adding reasons, and speaking fluently. This last part will be your chance to strengthen that skill even more, and then we'll close with some encouragement for your journey ahead. Here's a sentence. Although I was exhausted after returning home late in the evening, I still prepared my clothes and bag for the next day, because I knew that organizing in advance would help me start my morning without stress. Repeat after me slowly. Another one. Since I had promised myself to focus more on my health, I stopped eating junk food every day, and even though the change was difficult at first, I soon felt more energetic and happier with my lifestyle. Say it with me now. Notice how these sentences combine reasons, habits, and results. This is what makes them advanced and natural. Now let's expand a few short sentences. The short one is, I read a book. Expanded. I read a fascinating book about history last weekend, and although some parts were difficult to understand, I took notes, did some research, and by the end, I felt proud of how much I had learned. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I washed dishes. Expanded. I washed all the dishes after dinner, and while cleaning, I listened to music, which turned a boring chore into a peaceful and even enjoyable moment. Say it with me now. Now let's practice emotions. Try this. Although I felt nervous when I had to speak with a native English speaker, I reminded myself that mistakes are natural, and when the conversation continued smoothly, I felt more confident about my progress. Repeat slowly after me. Another one. Since my teacher praised my improvement, I felt motivated to keep practicing even more, and I promised myself not to give up, no matter how difficult it becomes. Say it with me now. Let's do storytelling again. The short sentence is, I lost my pen. Expanded. I lost my favorite pen during class, and even though it was a small thing, I felt upset for a while, but later I reminded myself that objects can be replaced, and my focus should be on learning. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. I met my neighbor. Expanded. I met my new neighbor while walking home, and after a short conversation, I realized we shared similar interests, which made me look forward to becoming friends. Say it with me now. Now let's practice professional English again. Try this. Although the project was more complex than we expected, our team worked together, solved the challenges step by step, and successfully completed it before the deadline. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since clear communication is important at work, I always double-check my emails before sending them, making sure my words are polite and my message is clear. Say it with me now. Here's a challenge. The short one is, I attended a meeting. Expanded. I attended a long meeting yesterday, and although some topics were difficult to follow, I asked questions, took notes, and learned valuable information. Repeat slowly with me now. Another short one. I joined a group. Expanded. I joined a study group with my classmates, and although it required extra time, the discussions helped me understand the material much better. Say it with me now. Now let's practice advanced emotional sentences. Try this. Although I felt sad when I couldn't visit my family, I reminded myself to stay positive, and I used video calls to stay connected, which made the distance feel smaller. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I received support from my friends, I felt encouraged to continue working hard, and I realized how important it is to surround yourself with people who lift you up. Say it with me now. Now let's move to hobbies and free time. Try this. Although I had many tasks to finish, I still spent half an hour painting because creative activities help me relax and balance my mind. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I enjoy playing sports, I joined a local club, and even though the training was tough, it improved my fitness and gave me the chance to meet new people. Say it with me now. Now let's expand short sentences. The short one is, I wrote a diary. Expanded. I wrote in my diary last night, describing my day in detail. And although I was tired, writing helped me release my thoughts and feel more peaceful. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. I played football. Expanded. I played football with my friends over the weekend, and although we were all exhausted by the end, the energy and teamwork made it a wonderful memory. Say it with me now. Now let's practice travel sentences. Try this. Although my luggage was delayed at the airport, I stayed calm, filled out the necessary forms, and eventually received it, which taught me patience. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. Since I wanted to explore the city fully, I bought a day pass for public transport, which allowed me to visit many places easily and cheaply. Say it with me now. Here's a short expansion. The short one is, I visited a tower. Expanded. I visited a tall tower in the city, and although climbing the stairs was tiring, the view from the top was breathtaking and unforgettable. Repeat slowly with me now. Another one. I saw mountains. Expanded. I saw the mountains in the distance during my trip, and their beauty filled me with peace and reminded me of how big and wonderful the world is. Say it with me now. Finally, let's close with 2 more storytelling expansions. The short one is, I helped my friend. Expanded. I helped my friend prepare for her speech by practicing with her. And when she later told me she had done well, I felt proud of being part of her success. Repeat slowly with me now. The last one. I learned something valuable. Expanded. I learned something valuable when I made a mistake during my English practice because it reminded me that errors are not failures, but opportunities to improve and grow stronger. Say it with me now. Now, before we finish, I want to give you a gentle reminder. Learning English is not a race. It is a journey, and every sentence you practice, every mistake you correct, and every conversation you try makes you stronger. You don't need to be perfect. You need to keep going. So keep repeating, keep shadowing, and keep building your fluency one step at a time. I believe in you, and I know that with patience and effort, you will achieve the confidence you dream of. Thank you for practicing with me today. If you enjoyed this session, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Daily English Talks, and share it with a friend who also wants to improve their English. Until next time, keep practicing, stay motivated, and remember, every word you speak takes you closer to fluency. Goodbye for now.